Welcome to The Spotlight, the podcast where veterans and military spouses connect and share how their military experience has transformed their lives and their businesses. Here's your host, Bob Louthen.
Hey, this is your host, Bob Louthen, founder of the VeteranCrowd Network, the network that brings veterans and veteran-led businesses together with each other and the resources they need to prosper. And you are tuning into The Spotlight. Welcome, everybody. Our topic today we're going to dive into is PTSD. My guests have been doing something about that. Today, pleased to have with us Nicole Amelio-Casper, director at the VBC Giving Foundation, a freelance producer and videographer, producer of a documentary called The Journey Back to Normal, and has another one in production now called Hidden Wounds. And also joining us, Lieutenant Colonel Nate Brookshire. He's the Provost Marshall at Fort Riley, Kansas, co-author of the book Hidden Wounds, A Soldier's Burden, and working with Nicole on this project. Welcome to the program. Thanks for stepping into the spotlight.
Thank you so much. And one correction, I'm the development director of VBC Giving Foundation. Sorry
Okay.
about that. Okay.
We will make that correction. Okay. All right. So Nicole, let's start. Tell everybody a little bit about the VBC Giving Foundation.
Sure. It's a new nonprofit organization in the Philadelphia region. And what we focus on is high quality, affordable housing for veterans and other vulnerable populations. Dana Spain is the president, and she founded VBC Giving Foundation recently. I know that she was on the show. She had a really good interview with you. We have been working together for a few years. We started working together at Haven Women, which is an all-female transitional housing program. And we really had the ladies go through some really great holistic programming. But once they were ready to move on to the community, permanent housing options just were really scarce. So part of the strategic plan was to help women and their families with providing them with high quality, affordable housing. So we're building a veterans village. It's our very first project in the Northeast region of Philadelphia, and we will house approximately 50 veterans and their families.
Close to the grand opening of that, is it not? If my memory serves me correct.
Yes. And really excited. In May, we'll be accepting veterans and their families, almost 50 veterans and their families. And once our residents arrive, we definitely have been creating some really great relationships in the community so that we can offer programming so they can continue to flourish, holistic programming as well, professionally, so they can grow in every sense of the word.
Well, we give a shout out to Dana Spain on that. Nate, you and Nicole have known each other for a while, but through an unusual choice, you and Nicole's husband went to OCS together, and you're a Mustang.
That's right, sir. So 2004, spent 90 days there at Fort Benning, Georgia. And again, stayed in touch with Chris and Nicole over the years. We've kind of followed each other in different duty stations, but again, great family, friends, and have been able to kind of watch what Nicole has done in her space, and just very proud of her.
You wrote a book and published a book about 10 years ago now called Hidden Wounds, A Soldier's Burden. And I want to use that as kind of a segue into today's discussion, but tell everybody a little bit about that book that you co-wrote with another soldier.
Yes, Marius DeQuanta. We were roommates at OCS, and we were kind of, just that prison-like experience and talking about writing a book together. So Marius, pretty much a photographic memory when it comes to military history. So I would tell TET 68, and he would just kind of start, recounting the highlights of the battle. So he said, "Hey, let's put a book together. You write the American character, and I'll write the German character, and we'll just kind of, go off of that." So really, we just talked about it. A few years later, when we met up again, he kind of poked me in the chest and said, "Hey, you said you'd write this book." So we put it together, and this is 2000, kind of the height of the surge. I'd had at least 2 deployments under my belt. And so as we were writing this book, a lot of things came out of it. So the book follows a character from World War II through Korea and Vietnam, and talks about his relationship with his family. And we get to discuss with the fictional characters PTSD, moral injury, addiction, and even suicide. So a lot of the characters kind of discuss some hard topics. The book came out, made number 10 on Amazon. It's been holding strong over the years, but it's opened a lot of doors for the nonprofit HiddenWounds, which is based out of South Carolina. And just real quick on that, that nonprofit was founded by Anna Bigham after she lost her brother to suicide when he came back from Afghanistan. It was an issue with him getting access to proper mental health care. And so the nonprofit HiddenWounds works with Give an Hour to provide interim and long-term mental health care. So the director is Stephen Diaz, who is a combat wounded Marine veteran. And he's a big part of what's going to be highlighted in the documentary.
When did the term PTSD really, when was that coined? It seems to me like that's a rarely recent phenomenon, even though certainly it existed, in our father's time in World War II.
Right. It's so I want to say as far as the DSM-4 now, I think we're up to DSM-6. But as far as the actual diagnosis, didn't come out until a couple decades ago. Recently, and Nicole mentioned one of the interviews during the documentary will be the daughter of Dutch Schultz. If you've seen the movie The Longest Day, where they're after the D-Day landings, you have an 82nd Airborne paratrooper, with a clicker. That's actually portraying Dutch Schultz. So she recounts that, after World War II, there was no diagnosis for PTSD. Battle fatigue, things that, we really didn't understand. So it's in the recent couple of decades that PTSD has come to the forefront. Vietnam veterans, and again, it's still a controversial subject. A lot of individuals don't like to use the term disorder. They want to just say post-traumatic stress. But as we're discussing it, what we're saying is, individuals, especially with moral injury, trying to align, actions that they did, under oath sometimes, and then it's just not, processing. So yes, it's a controversial term to some. But I know the families that spend time with individuals, and a lot of people deny it, and it's clear as the nose on your face that they have some type of post-traumatic stress, but they don't get treatment for it, or they just fall through the cracks with the current health system.
There's a lot of stigma that goes along with mental illness, and I want to come back to that topic. Nicole, let me ask a question. What led you? Why did you produce The Journey Back to Normal, and why are you producing this new documentary, HiddenWounds?
Well, it was an experience that I had over time, many experiences actually. I was one of the many military spouses, waiting for our service members to come back from deployment after deployment after deployment. And the very first experiences was back in 2003, where obviously things were really uncertain, and a lot of the military spouses were obviously anxious, depressed, and really fearful of the future. And the go-to back then was, all right, let's go talk to our doctors, our therapists, to see, what we can do. So my neighbor, one of my best friends, said, let's all try some Prozac. That really didn't work for most of us, because yes, we all tried it. And as time progressed, we saw a lot of emotional damage in the community that really wasn't being dealt with. And I think the only two routes were traditional talk therapy or medication. So through our journey in, the mental health and wellness space, we really wanted to find solutions. And I wanted to use my talents and skills to highlight different ways to heal on film. So, and then also, having the experience of, a lot of friends who had PTSD, a lot of close girlfriends had a lot of different issues coming back from deployment. And again, military spouses, veteran spouses, dealing with so many different issues that a lot of civilians just don't understand. So I wanted to create this film and produce this film so the larger community can understand, one, and then two, to highlight complementary therapies, different ways to heal, because everyone heals a different way. So I highlighted equine therapy, canine therapy, outdoor recreation therapy, and shooting therapy. Yes. Within an organization called Camp Valor Outdoors, they organized excursions and shooting competitions across the nation and participated in shooting competitions. And it really, really was therapeutic for a lot of men and women. So it was well received in, many different communities. I had university screenings, screened at many different film festivals, won 3 Best Documentary Awards, and just really was an eye-opener for a lot of folks, especially at universities. Talked to some students who were just, enlightened. They said, wow, I didn't even hear of equine therapy. And again, in our own personal experiences, in our own circles, we talked about it in the military community, how to heal in our families, how to heal, within the community at large.
Honor, duty, service. At the VeteranCrowd Network, we're focused on our next mission, bringing veterans, veteran-operated businesses, and veteran service organizations together with each other and the resources they need to prosper. That's why we are launching the VeteranCrowd Rewards Program, exclusively for our individual and corporate members. Now you can save on travel, restaurants, goods, and services from brands you trust online and at over 900,000 locations nationwide. Find out more today at VeteranCrowdNetwork.com. If you are a veteran-operated business, or a VSO, consider the connections, the network, the benefits, the engagement, and success of working with other veterans again. The VeteranCrowd Network, you paid a lot of dues to join this club.
Hey, you're listening to the Spotlight on the VeteranCrowd Network. My guests are Nicole Amelio-Casper and Nate Brookshire. Nate, you brought up a term earlier that I wanted to drill down on. You used the term moral injury. Could you tell me what that means?
Yes, well, a moral injury is understood to be a strong cognitive and emotional response that can occur following events that violate your own personal code or ethical code. And so you can imagine, soldiers in combat that are there, and they're serving, and there's situations where they execute violence on the behalf of a nation that has some pretty negative outcomes.
So, Nicole, tell me about the theme of Hidden Wounds, the documentary. What's this going to be about, and tell me about where you are in the process.
Okay. So yes, it's somewhat of a continuation of the journey back to normal. We'll be visiting many nonprofits across the country, grassroots organizations serving veterans and military as well, in terms of, helping them heal, whatever they face or whatever they faced in the past, and, ongoing issues as well. We want to make sure that, these efforts are highlighted. But I guess the most common feedback that I had from the journey back to normal was basically people want to know, the audiences wanted to know the story, the real raw story of these men and women who fought in combat. And I wanted it to be a positive film focusing on their healing and these grassroots organizations. But it is definitely part of our history, and there are those who want to tell their story. We need to honor that and also honor women veterans. They often don't get highlighted and they have earned our respect and honor. So I want to make sure that women veterans have a voice in this documentary. We're also going to be talking to active duty folks who are currently implementing holistic programs within the military. So, for example, down in Arlington, there's a great program the Navy is running, health and wellness program, retreats, and just really great things that they're doing within the military. So we're going to highlight nonprofits such as HiddenWounds, Project Josiah, based in South Carolina, Lazy Lab Hunting Club, which is also run by an active duty military officer in the Navy, and they serve both veterans and active duty military with they provide high quality outdoor recreation programming. And then an amazing organization in Tennessee called Freedom Sings. And they have this program where they have active duty and veterans coming to them, and they provide basically music therapy. They write their stories, and then famous musicians, well-known musicians, put their story to a song.
How about that?
So just I want to highlight, all of these different great organizations.
Are you filming these up? Are you filming now? Where are you in the process of producing the documentary?
We filmed Hidden Wounds and also Project Josiah in South Carolina, and they are part of our fundraising trailer. We just received a generous donation from Awareness 22 when they're based out of Ohio, another nonprofit organization serving veterans. And so we're going to be filming in Philadelphia and New York City as well. So we're sort of in the beginning stages of filming and still our planning and our fundraising efforts.
So actively seeking sponsors for this effort, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How do people find out more about sponsoring the documentary?
We have a great partner. It's our it's our fiscal sponsor. It's called Filmmakers Collaborative, and that's filmmakerscollab.org. And they will receive tax deductible donations for us. So that's pretty great. And we're we're all over social media as well.
What is what's the goal here? What does it cost to produce this documentary? How much money do we need to go raise?
Well, it's their productions definitely are definitely cost. So we are trying to raise about $400,000 for everyone involved, and then to really bring the film on the road to film festivals, to to audiences that would appreciate. And we're really it's an educational effort as well, because the civilian community at large doesn't really truly understand PTSD, the military experience, the veteran experience, the ongoing challenges that this community faces. And it runs the spectrum. It starts out with professional resources when you're exiting the military, educational resources, housing resources, and most importantly is mental health and wellness resources. So
and I'm sure, Nate, you can identify with this. The military is really good at breaking things. They're not really good at putting things back together, and they're really good at managing people who are in the service, but having a struggle right now helping the people that are out of the service, right? Those that are separated. So last question for the two of you is, is there one story or one individual perhaps that stands out that maybe you'd like to share a little bit about, that might be a little teaser or a trailer for what we might be seeing when you're putting this thing together?
I mean, all the stories are dynamic, definitely. I can say that it's going to be a heart-wrenching story, but it's a story that needs to be told. One individual reached out to me recently and said he wants to be part of the film. He wants to tell his story. And his best friend was a retired lieutenant colonel, West Point grad, and no one can save him. He committed suicide. He shot himself recently, and he called me and told me this story. And this is the reason why we need to reach as many as possible, because we have to offer this hope through this film.
Mm-hmm.
For someone to have a life and it to be lost is so tragic. His family is left behind. His wife is left behind. So it's so important that we get this message out.
I can tell you how many times I've had someone on the program says, I'd rather stay up all night listening to your stories than have to talk to your widow, right? And so I think what you guys are doing is very important work. Nate, Nicole, how do folks get in touch with you? How do we get in touch with you about supporting this effort?
Well, we do have a Facebook page. Amelia Media LLC presents Hidden Wounds, the documentary. My email is ameliomedia@gmail.com. And then, of course, on the donation website, Filmmakers Collaborative. So it's filmmakerscollab.org.
We'll put links to all of these, the Facebook and ways to get in touch with Nicole and Nate on the show notes for this episode. Thank you for appearing on this. Thanks for the work. When do you expect that this documentary, what's the goal? When's it going to be released? When's the road show?
Well, again, depending on funding, but we aim to film this year, and hopefully we'll have everything completed by spring of 2023.
There you go. Okay. Well, if you're interested in helping Nate and Nicole get this project done, Hidden Wounds, the documentary, let's reach out and support them. You've been listening to the Spotlight on the VeteranCrowd Network. Again, our guests have been Nicole Amelio-Casper and Lieutenant Colonel Nate Brookshire. Nate, Nicole, thank you for stepping into the spotlight. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm going to throw a Bravo Zulu out to both of you and appreciate you appearing on the show, folks. And that's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to Spotlight by VeteranCrowd. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information and uploads, please visit our website at VeteranCrowdNetwork.com. We'll see you next time.